Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is December 24th, 2023. It is Christmas Eve. I hope everybody is having a great time out there, celebrating with your friends and family, mostly family, I would assume. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to do the Advent of Cyber Challenge, day 24, the very last day. We've made it, everybody. We started our journey on day 1 on December 1st, and now we're at day 24, December 24th, and we're here to finish off the event. And let's just jump into it. What you need to do if you want to join in and join in alongside us is to click on the link that I'm pasting in the chat right now, and that will take you to the TryHackMe Advent of Cyber 2023 room. Of course, you'll need to have a registered account over at tryhackme.com to participate, but the account is free, and which means that as long as you have a valid email address, you can participate. All right, so today we're going to be doing some mobile analysis. The first thing we want to do when we get into one of these challenge rooms is we want to start up the virtual machine that we're going to be using to solve today's challenge. And you can do that by clicking on the Start Machine button right here. All right, so that's going to start our virtual machine, and it's going to boot up in just about a minute or so. So while we're waiting for that, let's read about what we're going to do in today's task. So, Detective Frosto continues to piece the evidence together, and Tracy McCready is now a suspect. What's more, the detective believes that McCready communicated with an accomplice. Smartphones are now an indispensable part of our lives for most of us. We use them to communicate with friends, family members, and colleagues, browse the internet, shop online, perform e-bank transactions, and many other things. Among other reasons, it's because smartphones are so intertwined in our activities that they can help exonerate or convict someone of a crime. Frosto suggests that Tracy's company-owned phone be seized so that Forensic McBlue can analyze it in his lab to collect digital evidence. Because it's company-owned, no complicated legal procedures are required. So what are we going to be doing in today's task? So after completing this task, we'll learn about procedures for collecting digital evidence, the challenges with modern smartphones, and using autopsy digital forensics with an actual Android image. So we're talking about digital forensics today. Forensics is a method for using science to solve crimes. As a forensic scientist, you would expect to collect evidence from crime scenes such as fingerprints, DNA, and footprints. You would use and analyze this evidence to determine what happened at the crime scene and who did it. With the spread of digital equipment, such as computers, phones, smartphones, tablets, and digital video recorders, a different set of tools and training are required. When it comes to digital evidence, the ideal approach is to require a raw image. A raw image is a bit-for-bit copy of the device's storage. Forensics is an essential part of the criminal justice system. It helps us solve crimes and to bring criminals to justice. However, for evidence to be permissible in court, we must ensure that it's not tampered with or lost, and that it's authentic when presented to the court. That's why we need to maintain a chain of custody. Chain of custody is a legal concept used to track the possession and handling of evidence, from the time it's collected at a crime scene to the moment it's presented in court. The chain of custody is documented through a series of written records that track the evidence's movement and who handled it at each step. In the following sections, we assume that we're dealing with computers and smartphones owned by the company or seized as part of a criminal investigation. Acquiring a digital forensics image. Acquiring an image for digital forensics can be challenging, depending on the target device. Computers are more accessible than other devices, so we'll start our discussion by focusing on them. There are 4 main types of forensic image acquisition. Static acquisition. A bit-by-bit image of the disk is created while the device is turned off. Live acquisition. a bit-by-bit image of the disk is created while the device is turned on. Logical acquisition. A select list of files is copied from the seized device. And sparse acquisition. Select fragments of unallocated data are copied. The unallocated areas of the disk might contain deleted data. However, this approach is limited compared to static and live acquisition because it doesn't cover the whole disk. Let's consider the following two scenarios. The seized computer is switched off. As a part of the crime scene, the investigators stumble on a live computer that's switched on. First, a computer that's switched off. Imagine the evidence is a Windows 10 laptop that's switched off. We know that by default the disk is not encrypted. We should not turn it on as this will make some changes to the disk and tamper with the evidence as a result. Removing the hard disk drive, or SSD from the laptop and cloning it is a relatively simple task. We use a write blocker, a hardware device that makes it possible to clone a disk without any risk of modifying the original data. We'll rely on our forensic imaging software to get a raw image or equivalent. This would create a bit-by-bit copy of the disk. Finally, we need a suitable storage device to save the image. But what about a computer that's switched on? Another example we would be dealing with a laptop that is switched on. In this case, we shouldn't switch it off. Instead, we should aim for a live image. The laptop might be encrypted, and shutting it down might make reading its data impossible without a password. Furthermore, data in the volatile memory, RAM, might be important for our investigation. When they're able to analyze a device that's switched on, investigators can gain access to the accounts and services the suspect is logged into. This can be indispensable in some instances to prove guilt and solve a crime. Various tools can be used. They usually require us to run a program on the target system, giving us access to all the data in the volatile memory and the non-volatile memory, otherwise known as the disk. But what about a smartphone image? The smartphone is a ubiquitous digital device that we can expect to encounter. Modern smartphones are now encrypted by default, which can be a challenge for digital forensics. Without the decryption key, encrypted storage literally looks like random data. Finding the decryption key is crucial to be able to analyze the image. Let us briefly overview smartphone encryption before discussing acquiring a forensic image of an Android device. Encryption in smartphones. Android 4.4 introduced full disk encryption. When full disk encryption is activated, the user-created data is automatically encrypted before being written to the device storage and decrypted before being read from the storage. Furthermore, the phone cannot be booted before providing the password. It is important to note that this type of encryption applies to built-in storage and doesn't include removable memory, such as microSD cards. Android 7.0 introduced Direct Boot, a file-based encryption mode. File-based encryption lets us use different keys for different files. From the user's perspective, the phone can be booted, and some basic functionality can be used, such as receiving phone calls. Beyond this basic functionality, the encryption password needs to be provided. Depending on the settings and Android version, the SD card might also be encrypted. Android 9.0 and higher can encrypt an SD card as fast as it would encrypt internal storage. Since Android 6.0, encryption has been mandatory. Unless we are dealing with an older Android version, we can expect the seized phone to be encrypted. Apple iPhone devices are encrypted by default too. Data protection, a file-based encryption methodology, is part of iOS, the iPhone's operating system. In this section, we provided an overview of smartphone encryption. Ultimately, encryption can be a significant obstacle that digital forensics investigators need to overcome. Obtaining or discovering the encryption key is necessary for a complete digital forensics investigation. So now we're going to be talking about the practical case, which is part of the storyline for the Advent of Cyber event. Tracy McCready's phone is company property. This means that it was easy for Detective Frosteau to seize it and ask Forensic McBlue to use his expertise to carry out digital forensics investigations. The first thing Forensics with Blue does is put the phone in a Faraday bag. A Faraday bag prevents the phone from receiving any wireless signal, meaning Tracy McCready can't wipe its data remotely. Now that McBlue has Tracy McCready's Android phone, it's time to get an image. He successfully unlocks the phone using the same password used to lock everyone out of the server room 3 weeks ago. What a coincidence. The main tools McBlue uses for analyzing Android phones are Android Debug Bridge and Autopsy Digital Forensics. Once the phone is unlocked and connected to the laptop, creating a backup using ADB Backup is relatively easy. Here's the exact command he uses. The main limitation of ADB Backup is some applications don't support this option, as they explicitly disallow backups with the setting allow backups equals false. Furthermore, although this option still works with a limited number of applications, it has been restricted since Android 12, so it's a good idea to rely on more robust alternatives. This backup of various applications is considered a logical image, but Forensics McBlue isn't satisfied. He wants a full raw image of the phone storage. Many commercial products can be used to acquire an image. However, most of them rely on the Android Debug Bridge and combine it with other tools, such as an exploit to gain root access. An Android device won't provide root access to the user unless it's for development purposes. This limits the ability to access many files and directories on the phone storage. Rooting an Android device gives us full access to the device files, including raw access to the disk. Forensics McBlue prepares a list of potential exploits that would give him root access to the Android device. After a couple of attempts, Forensics McBlue is able to exploit the phone successfully and get root access. With root access, he has full access to all the physical storage. To confirm that he is root, he issues the command, who am I? Who am I? He also needs to issue the mount command to find the mounted devices, but this would result in a very long list of all real and virtual mounted devices. However, the application data is in the directory data. We need to focus our attention on the storage device mounted on /data. To filter for the lines mentioning data, Forensics McBlue uses the command mount rep data instead of just mount. The output allows him to pinpoint the name of the digital storage device mounted on the /data, which turns out to be dev block dm0. The interaction can be seen in the terminal below. As we learned from the commands in the terminal above, the device is dev block dm-0. Think of this device as a partition on the smartphone's disk. McBlue wants to get this whole partition and analyze it using Autopsy. There are many ways to leverage the power of ADB and get a raw dump of this partition. One easy way is using ADB pull. The command above will pull the device and save it to the local file. After a few minutes, the command is complete and a 6 GB image is created. Note that we need root access for the above command to work on the Android device. Now all we need to do is import the image into Autopsy. The steps are straightforward, as we see in the screenshots below. Once we start Autopsy, we see a dialog box asking whether we want to create a new digital forensics case or open an existing one. Okay, so now, starting from this step, we can start accessing the virtual machine that we booted up, and we're going to get a little bit hands-on. So what we do is we go back up to the top of the page, and we're going to click on Show Split View, which is going to show us the virtual machine that was booted up. And what we need to do here is we need to put this virtual machine in its own browser tab by clicking on this button here, which is labeled View in Full Screen. So we click on that, and that's going to open up a new browser tab. And now our virtual machine is in its own browser tab. We can go back to the original browser tab for the TryHackMe webpage, and then we can click on this button right here, Exit Split View, to close out this portion of the screen, so we can get our full screen web page back for TryHackMe. Okay, where were we? Right here. Okay, so here we're going to walk through. We're going to walk through creating a new case file inside of the autopsy software. Okay, so we go back to our virtual machine, and then we can click on this icon right here, which is labeled autopsy, to open up the autopsy software. Okay, so it should be opening up about now. And from here, we want to click on this button right here, which is labeled Create, which is labeled New Case. So click on that. Double click on that. And then let's see. So on the web page, it wants us to name the case name Tracy McCready -Android. Okay, so here we're going to do that. Tracy McCready -Android. Whoops, how do you spell Android? Okay, and then we're going to click on Next. It looks like we're having some connection issues. Okay, and then we click on Next, which is right here. All right, and we're going to provide a number. I do believe that the number they want us to provide is 101. So 101, and then we're going to click Finished. So with this button right here. And let's go back to the web page to see. So, okay, so Tracy McCready Android. Okay, we enter number 101 and then click Finish. Okay, and then we're going to click on Generate New Host Name based on the data source name. Okay, and then Next. So inside of here, it's still working. We're just going to wait a little bit for this to finish initializing. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Okay, so generate new host name based on the data source name. Okay, so that's what we want. Click Next. And we want to select data source type. We're going to select disk, image, or VM file. So click that and then click Next. All right, so we need to select data source. We need to select the file that we want to work with. So inside path over here, we want to click on the browse button. And inside the downloads directory, there's a file labeled Android-McCready. Okay, and then we can click on open. After we click that, and then we click open. And then we click next on this screen over here. Okay, here for image configure ingest, we can just click next here, and that's going to prompt the software to do a lot of work importing that file and the module and the module data. So let's go back to the web page. Oh, okay, so it's finished now. We can click on Finish. Okay, so let's go back to the TryHackMe web page and get more information. So these are all the steps that we went through. Okay, so we don't need any of this information here. So the last thing we need to do is investigate the Android mobile device image using Autopsy, and we're going to be trying to answer the following questions. So one of the photos contains a flag. What is it? All right, so the first thing we do is we go back here And what we're looking for is we're looking for images, right? So we can click on this in this portion of the file tree. So file views, and then from file views we can click on the plus button over here, and then we can click on file types, and then by MIME type, I do believe. Okay, not by MIME type, by extension. Okay, so after we click on the plus button for by extension, you should be able to see images over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that to see the images that are on the that are in the image, the disk image rather. And we see that there is a list of different images that are on the file system. What we can do, instead of looking at the table list view of all these image files, we can click on the thumbnail tab over here, and that's going to give us thumbnails for all the different images on the disk. And we can also create larger thumbnails by clicking on this tab right here, and instead of medium thumbnails, we want to select large thumbnails. So remember, we're looking for a flag inside of one of these image files, these picture files, the photos. So this takes a little while to load in, but I do believe at the bottom of the list, there is the flag that we're looking for. No, not quite at the bottom. It's right over here. Okay, so this is the JPEG file labeled board 2. Okay, and we can see here, we can click on it, and it's going to give us a larger view inside of this window right here. But we can just make out over here that the flag value over here is THM, and then inside of curly braces, it's digital_forensics. All right, so we can't necessarily copy that by highlighting it, but okay, so here's a larger view of it. Let me see if I can make this window bigger. It doesn't look like I can, but yeah, so it says digital forensics, THM, and then inside of curly braces, digital_forensics. So we can provide that as the answer. So THM, curly braces, and then in all caps, digital_forensics. And that is the flag. Okay, so the next question is, what name does Tracy use to save Detective Frosto's phone number? All right, so to answer that question, we can go to the software, and then we can go to contacts. So over here, there's a tab called, there's a tab in the file tree called contacts. We can click on that. And then we see a number of names. Okay, so we're looking for Detective Frosto, but there's no Detective Frosto. Instead, there is this name right here, Detective Carrot Nose. And that is the answer for that question. Okay, so in here, the answer is Detective Carrot-Nose. All right, and that's that answer. So here, the next question asks, one SMS exchanged with Van Sprinkles contains a password. What is it? Okay, so we're looking for a password inside of some messages. So we go to our virtual machine, and then we're going to click on messages. the tab underneath contacts. Okay, so we're going to scroll over a little bit so that we can see the contents of the messages over here. Okay, so we don't need to search too hard. We can just read. Here it says, I don't know what to say. There's a password I want you to say for me. Okay, password, what is it? And then it is this value right here. So in this window over here, we can copy this. I just need to select it properly, highlight it. Okay, copy that, and then provide that as the answer for the question. All right, and it says, if you've enjoyed this room, please check out the autopsy room. All right, so we can click on that to complete this task. Okay, so from here on out, we don't need to use this virtual machine anymore. So we can click on terminate to terminate it. Okay, and this tab right here with the virtual machine inside of the separate browser tab, we can also close this one. All right, so we're not quite done yet. We have to complete the next 3 tasks, and then we're finished with the entire event. So we can click on this button right here for task 31. All right, so this task is called Jolly Judgment Day. McSkitty's team has achieved something remarkable. They have meticulously gathered a trove of evidence, enough to confront the elusive McCready about his nefarious activities. Now the moment of truth has arrived. In this gripping conclusion to our adventure, you'll assist in presenting the hard-earned evidence before Santa himself, the one who oversees all. Each piece of evidence will help unveil will bring McCready closer to facing the consequences of his actions. As you step into this pivotal courtroom showdown, may your wit, courage, and skills you've honed guide you. Good luck, the quest for justice rests in your hands. Okay, so we're going to open up this website, which has a little game for us to play. And inside of the game, we have to do the following things. We have to pick evidence that matches Santa's question. You can select up to 3 pieces of evidence. You need to achieve a conviction score higher than 100 to win, and you will lose the game if Santa loses all patience. Okay? You can earn conviction points by answering questions about evidence correctly. If you choose the wrong evidence or give incorrect answers, Santa gets impatient. However, if you select the right evidence and answer questions correctly, Santa becomes more patient again. Alright, so let's play the game. And at the end of the game, we're going to get a final flag that we can submit for this task. So we click on the View Site button. Okay, and then we click on Start Game. Alright, so McCready, the opposition, claims you mastermind a revenge plot against the company. What do you say to that? I'm unaware of anything like that. Okay, so we're going to submit some evidence. So we masterminded a revenge plot against the company. So for this question, we need to submit the chatbot evidence as evidence. So we click on the chatbot evidence button over here, and then we click on Submit Evidence, and then confirm evidence. Okay, it's excellent evidence. Continue. What was the name of McCready's secret project? So if you remember from day 1, the secret project we got from the chatbot was called Purple Snow. Okay, so the next question. The opposition claims you have been using your old hacker handle in your activities, which is how they were able to identify your accounts. Is this correct? Okay, so for the hacker handle, the evidence is in the notes in the MS-DOS computer, and we click on that to submit it. Okay, what is the hacker handle visible in the opening screen of the DOS box, the MS-DOS emulator? Okay, so if you remember from that day, The software was developed by somebody calling themselves Greedster. Okay, question 3. Investigation that started after the USB incident and has uncovered a trail leading to a command and control server to this cyber activity. Okay, are you aware that, of or connected to this server? Okay, for this question, number 3, we want to supply the dropped USBs as evidence. So submit that. Okay, what was the name of the C2 server found on the malware-infected USBs? Okay, so the C2 server's name was mcgreedysecretc2.thm. Okay, so question 4. The opposition emphasizes your technical skills and describes you as being capable of leading such a cyber operation. They claim that they have proof for you orchestrating attacks on Articrafts and the Best Festival Company. So we're looking for technical expertise. So we want to submit the malware sample as the evidence, and then click on Submit Evidence here. Okay, so when analyzing the malware sample, McSkitty's team found a domain used to download the malware's second stage. What was the domain? So if you remember from that task, the second stage domain was stash.mccreedy.thm. Okay, so question 5. The court is informed of an extensive investigation that started after the USB incident and has uncovered a trail leading to command and control server central to the cyber activity. Are you aware or connected to this server? Your input could be vital. Okay, so for question 5, what we need to do is we need to supply the C2 server credentials as evidence. Okay, and click on Submit Evidence. Confirm. What was the username that could be used to log into the C2 server? Okay, and the answer here is McCreedy. All right, so we've come to the last question, which is does the opposition have any more solid evidence that directly ties McCreedy to these crimes? All right, so here we can submit the forensic image of McCreedy's phone, and then click Submit, and then Confirm. Okay, the phone image included text messages incriminating McCreedy. Who did he send them to? So if you remember from the last task, he sent the messages to Van Sprinkles. Okay, so here McCreedy confesses, and then we get this flag right here after completing the game successfully. All right, so we can copy that, and then we can supply this as the answer for this task, which is down here. Paste that in. Okay, so with that done, we can close out this window right here by clicking on this button. All right, so we're almost finished with the event. We just have to do task 32. Okay, so here we've got a little conclusion. What a month. McSkitty, Honey Belfrosto, and the entire team can finally get some rest. As the toy factories on both poles start up again, everybody breathes a sigh of relief. No more sabotage, no more insider threats, and everything is running smoothly. Frostlings and elves rush to stations, there's toys to develop, gifts to pack, and no time to waste. McSkitty turns to you with a smile on her face. Thank you for all your help. We really couldn't have done it without you. As always, there is some things that even McSkitty can't see, but would be good for you to know anyways. In his holding cell, McCreedy can't do much. He's just sitting there angry and defeated. We are sure he's plotting his revenge, though. Previously, it was about his company being sold. Now it's personal. Somewhere else, the Frosty Five are celebrating. Their sinister plan worked. While McCreedy was busy securing the merger, other opportunities open for them. Who knows what happens next year? And I guess there's some extra content you can get by scanning this QR code over here. But for now, however, we all deserve a celebration. Holidays are safe and secured. Okay, so we just need to click on this completed button to complete this task. And to completely finish off this room, we need to fill out a little survey. And at the end of the survey, we're going to receive a flag. Okay, so we're going to put this in a new tab. So open this link in a new tab, and we're going to answer a survey. Okay, so let's work through this together. I'm just going to answer as part of my my personal answers to these questions. Okay, so what's your cybersecurity industry background? I have 2+ years experience in the industry. Did you have a TryHackMe account before the Advent of Cyber 23 event? I did. Would you recommend TryHackMe to a friend on a scale of 1 to 10? I'll put 9. About Cyber 2023. How did you hear about the event? I heard about it on the THM website. Okay, what made you participate in Advent of Cyber? To explore and learn new topics. How difficult was the event to complete in your experience? Okay, so it was, some of the tasks had a couple of steps that were a little bit difficult, so I'm going to rate it a 3. What was your favorite security category? Okay, so here I'm going to say red teaming and offensive security, since I come from a red role background. What was your least favorite day and why? Okay, so I'm going to answer day 20, and day 20 was the first day of the GitHub DevSecOps challenge, and I'm going to say day 20 and restoring the defaced web page instructions were a bit hard to follow. And I'm going to press enter. Did you follow the event storyline? I followed it throughout the entire event. Did you participate in the Advent of Cyber side quest? I did not. Okay, questions about the tasks. How often did you use the supporting task videos? I did need to use them for a few days. Did you have a favorite video? I didn't have a favorite. Which of the following best describes your approach to tasks? Okay, so for me, I read through the task content and then work on the room. Okay, this is what I did. Did you explore the follow-up room recommendations in each task? I did not, but I appreciate that they were there. Machine learning was a new topic for this year. We'd love to get your thoughts on it. I was very interested in the machine learning topics as well. So, did you like the machine learning tasks? I'm going to say yes. Which machine learning task was your favorite? The OCR captchas for brute forcing were my favorite, but I also like the prompt injection machine learning tasks as well, but I'm going to say day 16. Okay, a peek into the future. What can we improve for next year? Please create new and novel topics for the challenges next year. What topics would you like to learn about in the future? More chatbot AI prompt injection. Okay. Any other feedback? You all did a great job. Okay. Okay, and this is the flag that we need to complete the task for the very last task of this event. So we copy this, and then we can go to here, and then we can copy this in, click submit, and congratulations. Okay. All right, so I'm going to submit this. I'm going to close out this this tab over here, and with that, everybody, we finished the TryHackMe Advent of Cyber 2023 event. To everybody who came by and chatted and participated, I'd like to say thank you very much. If you've enjoyed my content here, going over the challenges from Advent of Cyber 2023, please feel free to click on follow and give a like to the videos. Yeah, everybody, it's Christmas Eve. I wish everybody happy holidays and a happy new year. We'll probably be back sometime next year. And in fact, I'm going to be teaching my Hacker Frogs beginner cybersecurity content on Mondays, starting in January, in collaboration with the Black Girls Hack organization. If you're a beginner, I encourage you to come by on Mondays. It's going to be at, I do believe, 3 p.m. in the afternoon for Pacific Standard Time, and 7 p.m. for Eastern Standard Time. But until then, everybody, have happy holidays, stay safe, and we will see you next time.